Asian American women are silent. They don't want to share their stories with other people because they're afraid to be brave.
For a number of reasons, a lot of it actually has to do with, really, I think it has a lot to do with immigrant status, and a lot of it also has to do with the reason around the families that they're brought up in, the culture that they're brought up in, because with a lot of Asian cultures, it's about keeping the family together and then staying together for the kids and all that kind of stuff, and then because you're dependent on your family unit, not for like emotional support. Sometimes it's hard to break away from that, and then like you kind of get trapped inside this like really bad relationship, even though you can't really get out of it. Like even though you know you should, it's hard for you to break that up. And it's also a little bit of the financial dependency kind of situation, where like a lot of immigrants don't have a lot of money, and they depend on both spouses to go to work in order to support the family. And they feel that if you lose one of those working parties, you lose like literally your ability to live. And a lot of times it's hard for a lot of Asian women to realize that there are there's like other resources you can have and like you can apply for, but you know, because of language barriers and because of the intimidation factor of the governments and that kind of thing, and like how incredibly intimidating the bureaucratic system can be, even for people who have been born here, to try to get like stuff like food stamps or like housing and financial housing assistance and stuff like that. It can, I think that really is one of the biggest reasons why. Other than of course like this little things like culture and being taught to like keep your family together.
It is a public matter. Domestic violence is very terrible. It affects the members of the family. I think the communities should provide more programs to help women.
I think the best thing that any community can do is to provide support in like making sure that Asian women and people have like know about the services that are available to them, and also be able to have a center that's just there to provide some psychological, emotional support, and you know, in some ways some financial support through like various different programs that they can offer. Because I think that's really the biggest thing. Because when you lose your spouse because of domestic violence, or you try to get away from them, you need to know that you'll be safe emotionally and psychologically, and there will be also the financial backing there to help you.
The model minority myth is the view that Asian Americans as a racial group have achieved a higher level of success than the racial minority population average. The stereotype implies that Asian Americans do not make waves or cause trouble. But the truth is, Asian Americans have just as many issues with violence than any other minority. The model minority myth, as well as historical stereotypes about Asian women in America being submissive or delicate, contribute to a low reporting rate of domestic violence, and is the reason why this issue is not discussed very often. Many Asian American communities view domestic violence as a private issue to be dealt with in the household, rather than encouraging women to seek help. Rigid gender roles and imbalance in Asian cultures add significantly to the problem, and as a result, Asian American women suffer a unique aspect of patriarchy that is both Eastern and Western in influence. For Asian American women, domestic violence continues to occur because they have a strong desire and responsibility of keeping their family safe and together. They are secretive about their problems and try to overcome them alone because there is often no form of support. Even when Asian American women try to ask for help from their community, there are few facilities to reach out due to language barrier, financial difficulty, and cultural differences. Domestic violence is a public matter, and the victims should not be the only ones who struggle alone. Survivors of domestic violence, as well as you and I, should lead the way to help these victims speak out and become a proud member of the community. We can achieve this if we raise awareness of the victims' legal rights and provide facilities for protection and support for the victims. Women are in need of shelters and hotlines in their native languages, but the greatest need is for a safe space to speak and a sympathetic ear to listen.